you doing? Were you just skulking in those bushes all this time?
Why don't you go home, Erica?
Not until you give me one good reason why I shouldn't report you to the state medical board, if not the AMA.
The woman is safely on her way to the hospital, Miss Kane.
Well, no thanks to you. No thanks to you at all. How could you do that? How could you possibly refuse to help a woman who was in such obvious distress?
I heard Joe Martin's voice. I knew he was on his way.
That's not true. That's not the way it happened at all. Several minutes had gone by after that woman collapsed. And there you stood. You were just rooted to the ground. If Joe Martin hadn't come by, would you have done anything?
Isn't that the way the Martins always are? Racing to the rescue? Like Lassie or Rin Tin Tin.
I don't think you should criticize Joe Martin or make fun of him in any way. He's a wonderful doctor. Wonderful doctor. And he was also a very loyal friend to my mother.
Of course. Well, what better physician to minister to an upper-crust luminary like Miss Bennett than the head of the hospital?
You're the head of cardiology. That woman was having a heart attack. Every second counted.
I wasn't aware, Miss Kane, of all your legendary accomplishments that you happen to hold a degree in medicine.
Oh, come on. A person doesn't need to be a doctor to tell if somebody's having a heart attack.
It could have been a simple case of heartburn, indigestion,
inner chest,
duodenitis, any number of things.
All right, even so. Why did you rush off when Joe arrived? Why didn't you stay to help him? Dr. Hayward, the woman was gasping for air. She was clearly in excruciating pain, and you acted totally indifferent.
I wouldn't have said indifferent.
And you call yourself a doctor? I can't believe I'd ever let you near Bianca.
I saved your daughter's life.
Oh, no one person saved my daughter's life. It took a slew of doctors, not to mention the loving support of her family.
You're entitled to your opinion.
And you haven't answered my first question, which is why I shouldn't report you to Dr. Martin so he knows exactly what kind of a doctor you are who works for him.
Go right ahead. I'll just deny it.
Didn't you take an oath to save lives when you became a doctor? You can't just stand by and decide who lives and who dies.
Sure you can. People do it every single day.
So you have no ethics. You have no principles. You're not God.
Let me ask you a question, Miss Kane. A simple question. Try to be honest. Isn't there one person from your past whom you wouldn't have lifted one finger to help save, even from death? You strike me as a person of great passion, a woman that's capable of all-consuming love and hatred. Now, can you tell me that there's not one person that you hated enough that you would have sat by and let die? I'm right, aren't I?
Yes. There was a man. I met him when I was barely in my teens. He did something monstrous.
And what happened to him?
My own mother, who could have given lessons to saints, actually, turned her back on him in his moment of need, and he did die. And I would have done the same thing.
Well, there you have it. In cases of life and death, the answer isn't so clear-cut. I mean, you might think that you're looking at a person with the face of an angel, but in truth, you're looking at the devil, sporting a new disguise.
Are you saying that Vanessa Bennett is the devil?
It's getting late. I'm not going to talk about this woman anymore.
Your hands are shaking. What's wrong with you?
The only thing wrong with me is that my hands are freezing.
No, you've been acting strange all night. Well, especially since you spotted that Vanessa Bennett in the bed.
You're imagining things.
No, I'm not. The look you gave her was absolutely lethal. And then you refused to treat her out here when she collapsed. You, who pride yourself on being this super doctor. So what did that poor woman ever do to you? Don't try to deny that you even know her. There's obviously some connection.
Oh, I know her all right. The Vanessa Bennetts of the world make me sick.
And I got the distinct impression that he knows you or knows
I would
of
really
you.
prefer not to discuss Dr. David Hayward's medical ethics, or lack thereof. You know, if you don't mind, let's just drop the subject and concentrate on your charity work.
I beg your pardon?
You're tiring the patient, Miss Kane. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Thanks for the balloons, my dear. And, for returning my evening bag.
Well, you're welcome. I'd be very happy to come back later.
No, that won't be necessary, really.
Well, I certainly know how dreary a hospital stay can be. I'd be glad to bring you some of your favorite magazines, books.
All I require is peace and quiet, and starting now.
Take good care of her.
Well, doctor, what's the prognosis? Will I live?
Apparently. What are you doing in Pine Valley?
I closed my eyes, looked into a map, and pointed my finger, and the winner came out Pine Valley.
You never leave anything to chance.
Perhaps I'm just passing through. Or perhaps I stopped to pick up a few Quaker little knickknacks on the cheap, or perhaps I'm thinking of making Pine Valley my home. Or maybe, just maybe, I wanted to see you again.
Or maybe none of the above.
I understand you've done quite well for yourself. How does Miss Kane put it? A renowned cardiologist, don't you? I even heard the nurses talking about a new cardiac wing.
In the world of cardiac surgery, I am considered a superstar.
Superstar. Superstars burn out.
Your concern is touching.
Well, you may be at the top of your profession, but I hardly consider you an unqualified success.
I performed quadruple bypass surgery on the governor of this state. I saved his life. How do you define success?
Well, now that depends. Was he a Republican or Democrat?
The sense of humor is new. Where'd you pick it up?
I also noticed last night you were dateless at the charity event. You're never married.
I haven't had the misfortune.
Single men are always suspect, you know. Someone like you needs a brilliant wife who can reflect their glory. It's such a pity you haven't fared as well in your personal life.
Now you're the expert on that. Miss Kane? We'll meet again.
Dr. Hayward, Miss Kane has just told me something I find very disturbing.
I'll bet she has. I assume we're talking about what took place after the benefit last night?
Indeed. Mrs. Bennett was clearly in distress. You were on the scene, and you failed to treat her.
Failure hardly enters into it. I was standing nearby and would have helped Miss Bennett when my pager went off. And by then, you were on the scene, Joe, and assuming that the woman was in good hands, I answered my page. There was a patient in post-op fibrillating.
I didn't hear your pager.
It's the kind that vibrates. I've always had a pet peeve against pagers going off in restaurants and movie theaters.
But you came back to the parking lot after the ambulance left.
I gave my orders over the phone, and the patient stabilized.
You abandoned someone clearly in distress in order to respond to a page.
I was confident that the poor woman was in good hands with you on the scene, Joe. That's why I responded to what I thought was another emergency. By the time I came back to see if you needed my help, the woman was en route to the hospital. What's this all about, Joe? Did Miss Bennett file a complaint?
No, but I intend to talk to her. And if I find any evidence of malfeasance, you can forget about heading up the new cardiac wing. Actually, you can forget about this hospital altogether.
Ah, there goes my page. Duty calls. Miss Kane, always a pleasure.